Hey guys, so nothing super crazy today. I just wanted to walk you through this particular artwork of Shiori from Hololive. And this is kind of a return to form for me, but I want to actually give some more in-detail thoughts on this particular artwork. So I found this artwork on Pinterest that I really liked the pose. I started off not doing the pose that it ended up being, but I liked the whole just vibe of it. It had this cool, like, very dynamic looking pose, and I thought, I wonder what I could do with it. So I used it as a simple reference to kind of guide me to what might look good. And you might notice in this particular artwork that I started off with a little bit of a guide, but then kind of threw all that away and started going purely off of what I saw and on what I could improve. So the best way I could say is if you see a reference for a pose or an outfit, just yoink it. Just yoink the pose, and if you're taking the whole outfit, I would actually recommend that you credit the artist or the person that made the outfit, because the reality is an outfit is very intricate, and if you're ripping it one-to-one, you're basically stealing something. So my recommendation would be, if you're going to use an outfit, at least iterate on it and do your own thing with it, because doing that will at least ensure that you're taking creative freedoms and doing your own thing. Because the thing about art is we do technically, as artists, take from what we see. There's that old book that people always talk about called How to Steal Like an Artist. And personally, I'm not going to claim that I've read it, because I actually haven't, but the idea does resonate with me a bit. Basically, whenever you're taking something like a pose or an outfit, you want to iterate on it. Basically, you want to bring your own essence to it, whether it's the way you do colors, the way you do lines, the way you shade, changing the outfit to add things that you personally like. Like, for example, with the artwork that I took from, I liked the midriff, I liked the idea of the shirt kind of falling off the shoulder a little bit, but I also wanted some movement, and the way I wanted to do that was not only with just the hair, but with like a jacket. And I also changed the pants. I did like hot pants, like a hot pants skirt fusion, which I've always kind of really enjoyed. It's a very Eastern style of outfit. That whole like hot pants mixed with the skirt is like, and baggy clothes is like very big in like Eastern street fashion, which I'm a huge fan of. Not all of it, not a huge fan of all of it, but I do really enjoy that type of thing. I also liked drawing the necklace because I like the way it draped on the chest and kind of met right where the cleavage started, which kind of draws your eye slightly there with some motion. You'll notice in this particular artwork that the arms go in an S shape that lead back to the chest, which moves your eye to where you want it. And later on in the full render, you'll actually see that I add this like red ribbon that kind of like goes in a golden ratio that like leads the focus back to the face and the midriff as well. So whenever you're designing and kind of coming up with a pose, the idea you want to take into account is rule of thirds, what type of composition you're going for, and how you want the movement to be. And the more you execute and succeed at that, the better it turns out. The more you do it, the more it starts to become second nature to you. Your brain actually fills in the gaps for you. In fact, if you're doing it wrong, usually if you're very experienced, what'll happen is your brain will be like, something's up here, so you just start correcting till it works. So as you get better at it, you will subconsciously start to fix the pose and the composition without having to really think about it. And that's something that I can happily say I'm getting to that point where if a composition is wrong, my brain just knows how to correct it. And so the best way I could say to get better at doing that in particular is actually practicing doing it with intention. The more you do it with intention, and then later on you bring kind of an awareness to your space and what you're doing. So what happens is later on, as you do it more and more with intention, your brain will do it automatically as you're working on it. You'll start to resize your character, your background, you'll crop it a bit to kind of fit it correctly, and then you'll add little bells and whistles to make it all work. And you'll notice that there isn't actually a lot of color in this particular artwork. It's a lot of neutrals. And that's actually really, really good because it allows, whenever you start adding really, really powerful colors to it, the neutrals don't stand out as much as the color, so you can kind of shoehorn in like this amazing draw to the character. You'll see, if you remember the finished product, I used a lot of yellows and reds, and then the neutrals are kind of just there, but where I wanted you to look involved the reds and yellows. So it's a lot of thought, and it's one of those things that eventually you just start doing it on, like, subconsciously. It's just kind of a thing that happens. You'll notice that I kind of add like little strands to the shadows to kind of imply hair draping over. We're using 3 colors in the midriff to kind of add depth, and I end up fixing the midriff quite a bit because what I started with actually kind of made sense, but also it didn't in other ways. So you need to go and you need to fix it later. But there's a lot of airbrush, a lot of what's it called? Blur tool. Actually, if you see, if you ask in the comments, I actually give away my brushes that I use for free. And any of the brushes that I don't own, I will leave a link for you to download. If you just ask in particular, I like that brush, what did you use? I will do my best to link back where you can find it on the Cliff Speedpaint store or on Etsy where I may have gotten it. So that's actually my recommendation. If you have a question on a brush that you want that I don't own, I will try to find the original artist for you to support them and give them your support for their hard work in creating brushes. Creating brushes is actually an art form in itself that I in particular am not very good at. But I do really, really enjoy making like stamp brushes where I draw something and I want to just use it later down the line. That's kind of what stamps are for, just kind of make your life a little bit easier. I use a lot of blending modes like multiply and soft light to kind of add glow and effects to the hair and whatnot. But you can see it all coming together. I actually have a problem where I usually don't make the skin tone dark enough whenever I do the shadows, so I have to go back in and fix it later because all the other shadows just appear darker. So you want to make sure the balance is there. So I know I've kind of rambled a bit, but I just wanted to walk you through my full thought process and how I go about doing my compositions and my artwork. And I know I've been rambling. I am going to start trying to script more in the future, and I really appreciate you guys. I know that lately I've been trying and kind of experimenting with different formats and ideas, and that's been going well and not well at the same time. But I really appreciate you guys being here and supporting me in this difficult transition of my content, but I will do my best to be as enlightening as I can be. So thank you so much for watching. This video is pretty much done. If you watched the whole way through, let me know in the comments, get a discussion started, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.